Thank you, Aaron, for the kind invitation to address Enterprise Washington today. My name is Dick Weekley. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I graduated from Southern Methodist University. I spent 3.5 years in the United States Navy, came back to Houston and entered the real estate field. Over the last 25 years, I founded and co-founded a number of companies in Houston in the real estate development and building business. One of the companies, Dave Weekley Homes, my brother and I founded, which has now become the largest privately owned home builder in America. 16 years ago, Texas had the reputation as the lawsuit capital of the country. The situation was horrible. Doctors were leaving the state, businesses were not expanding, and a number of my friends and I got together, entrepreneurs, business people, and decided to do something about it and created Texans for Lawsuit Reform. So we embarked on this journey with our allies to reform Texas civil justice system. And literally, we were able to take Texas from the worst state in the union to, if not the best, one of the very best. When we started 16 years ago and went to Austin, it was pretty amusing. Most of the professionals, lobby groups, trade associations laughed at us, said we were fools, naive, had no idea what we were doing, which frankly at the time was pretty much the case. But there's nothing like a little organization, perseverance, and of course some luck to prove the skeptics wrong. Aaron asked if I would share with you some of the experiences that we encountered beginning our organization and our journey in reforming the Texas civil justice system. If you have a copy of the template, I would encourage you to read it because it'll give you many more details than I'm able to share with you today. There are 11 things that you really must do to accomplish systemic change in your legal system. The very first thing you must have is to have a very specific agenda. When we went to Austin, everybody in Austin was for tort reform. But what does that mean? Your agenda needs to have specifics in order to be very explicit in what you want to accomplish. Number two, you've got to do economic and legal research. Everything that we did was based on massive research so that we could be very confident in talking to legislators that we had all the research behind us to recommend to them the right course of action. When you go in and talk to a legislator or the governor, whoever you're going to talk to, everything must be based in fact and on a granite foundation. You can have no mistakes. It must be based on solid research. Number three, you need market research. By market research, I mean polling and focus groups. So you can figure out exactly the precise message. For example, are your opponents lawyers? Are they attorneys? Are they plaintiff lawyers? Are they personal injury lawyers? What is the word that communicates your message the best? And by testing those messages, you will find out those words, because words are important. Number four is lobbyists. I'm in the real estate business. I have no clue how to pass a law, none, zero. So we had to hire a lobby team, a great lobby team, and the lobby team must have passion. You can't just hire someone for a paycheck. You've got to have a passion. They got to have it in their gut to be able to really effectively help you. Then you need to have a legal team. Your opponents in the plaintiff's bar will have the best and brightest of the legislature, grinding every word, every sentence, every paragraph. Unless you have people of comparable or better talent up there, up against them, you will lose. Grassroots, an absolutely essential component. We have 25 to 35 speakers on our volunteer speaker bureau at any one time, speaking all across the state of Texas. We speak from Amarillo to Harlingen to Orange to San Antonio to Austin, all across the state of Texas, every week, 2 to 3 times, recruiting grassroots volunteers. You also need grass tops. Grass tops are your local civic leaders, community leaders, entrepreneurs who have influence with your state legislators and who can introduce you to yet more colleagues and volunteers to help the effort. Number 8, you need a media strategist. When I first met with the publisher of our paper, asked how he could help us, he said he needed a media strategist. I said, what in the world is a media strategist? You've got to have a media expert to help you communicate your message to the public. Because all the research you do, all the polling you do, all the focus groups you do, unless you can communicate these messages to the media effectively, it's all an academic exercise. Number 9 is allies. You can't do this by yourself. You need chambers of commerce, you need manufacturers association, you need realtors, contractors, builders, apartment builders, all the different business groups. And of course, we were told when we went to Austin, there's no way you get all these people on the same team, but we did. Once again, the people in Austin said not possible, but we got literally every single major trade association in the state of Texas behind us in our efforts because everybody knew it was so important. And then, of course, we'd been working on this for about a year and a half. We're all ready to go to Austin, and our lobbyist says, Dick, you've got to get involved in politics. I said, why get involved in politics? Our polling says that 85% of the people in the state want it. Why do we need to get involved in politics? His answer was that if you don't get involved in politics, you won't even debate these issues on the House floor or the Senate floor, won't even debate it, much less pass it. So we started our first year in 1994. We had a political action committee of 700,000. We were able to defeat 3 standing state senators who were adamantly against reform. It enabled us then to get and debate our reforms on the floor of the House and Senate. We were able to pass all 11 measures that very first year, and were signed into law by the governor. We work very, very hard on politics. In fact, one of the Capital publications recently named our Political Action Committee the most influential and effective PAC in the state. Finally, this takes serious fundraising. And of course, without personal fundraising, without corporate contributions, you just simply will not have the resources to compete with the personal injury trial lawyers. You also need to understand that this is not like attributing to the YMCA, whose board I sit, and I love the YMCA, or the Boy Scouts, who is a fabulous organization. This is a deadly serious investment in the public policy of your state, in your business climate, and in job creation. The impact of our reforms in Texas has been simply staggering. Doctors are flooding to Texas, businesses are expanding. Businessmen and women now have much more confidence in the courts, that they'll get a fair trial. Some of the reforms that we have been able to enact with our legislative allies include reform of punitive damages. We now have proportionate liability in Texas versus joint and several liability. No longer do we have venue shopping where some plaintiff lawyer can go and shop in any of 254 Texas counties for the courtroom or the jury of their choice. We've reined in the abusive asbestos and silica lawsuits where literally thousands of people, tens of thousands, were lined up that had no sickness whatsoever, and we put those who really are sick at the front of the line. I think that's one of the most effective reforms that Texas has had. Texas now has created more jobs in the last 12 months than all 49 states put together. But not only are we proactive in passing reforms, now we have to be very diligent in defending our reform. In the last session of the legislature, we had to either defeat or modify 900 separate bills that were either going to create new causes of action in the legislature, we're going to create new theories of liability, or roll back our existing reforms. Thanks to the efforts of TLR and our allies, not one of those 900 bills was signed into law. Texas lawsuit reform is a 365-day operation. Our media team, our lobby team, our communications team, our public relations constantly work day in, day out, literally 24/7 as a team to make these reforms become a reality. This is definitely a marathon. It is not a sprint. When I met with Aaron earlier this spring, I learned that Enterprise Washington was doing some very, very good work in Washington State. I encourage you to continue your efforts. It is not only critical for Washington, it's critical for the country. And just remember, when you hear the same things we did in your state capital, that it's impossible, that you're naive, that it can't be done, just kind of chuckle to yourself and know that organization, persistence, and a little bit of luck, and you will win. So I wish you all the best, my friends. Good luck.